Good Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to GardenStateWeather.com and GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, providing superior forecasting for the northern mid-Atlantic region 24 hours a day. I'm forecaster Robert Smith on this rather cloudy and chilly start to December the 9th, 2015. And it's a rather cloudy and chilly start to your morning here on this Wednesday, December 9th. We find temperatures in the upper 20s and lower 30s across interior northwestern New Jersey, the lower Hudson Valley, interior Connecticut, and they're still just above 39 degrees in New York City and getting close to about 40 degrees or so in the Philadelphia metropolitan area this morning. There's lots of low clouds, some areas of fog, and we even have a freezing fog advisory out here in Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania near State College, which will be expiring at 10 a.m. this morning. And we'll be in and out of these low clouds about 40,000, 4,000, 5,000 feet throughout most of the day with some breaks here and there. Minimum temperatures this morning across the forecast region. We see temperatures here in the low to the mid 20s here over the interior valleys here, about 35, 36 degrees or so around the New York City metropolitan area, and just outside of Philadelphia this morning temperatures were generally running just above freezing this morning. These were the minimum temperatures this morning before sunrise. On the aviational weather deck today, we have another deck of stratocumulus clouds forecast to develop and expand over the region during this morning into the early afternoon, favoring between 3,500 and 4,500 feet, and the exception would be around Allentown and Reading, where ceilings may drop to 3,000 feet or lower for a time. It's possible that the cloud cover around Atlantic City and Millville would favor scattered clouds throughout much of the period. There is some MVFR visibility restrictions this morning in some light fog. Light rain showers are possible tonight around Reading and Allentown. That's going to be minimal, though, and there may be visibility values to the MVFR range. However, the potential is not high enough to include in the terminal area forecast. A light and variable wind anticipated to become southerly at about 10 knots or less today and tonight. Generally, VFR during the late morning and early afternoon hours. There are chances of lower clouds and some fog during the overnight hours. MVFR conditions and some spotty IFR conditions are possible from time to time. Right now outside of Newark this morning it's chilly, 39, dew point 34, humidity 82%. Overcast conditions at 4,600. Visibilities are better than 10, so we are VFR conditions and broken ceilings throughout the day with VFR conditions. So not too sunny today. 35 in Philadelphia right now, dew point 30, humidity 82%. The wind is out of the southeast at 3, visibility 6 in haze, and the ceilings at about 3,900 and few clouds at 25,000. Again, the story today will be the mid to low level cloud deck at around 4,000 feet, broken to scattered throughout the region, but still VFR conditions in place. Rather potent storm system here entering, the British Columbia area and the west coast. Notice all these tight pressure gradient here in the pressure fields. We've got gale warnings on the coast of Washington and Oregon here down the coast there. We've got flood warnings over the interior and high wind warnings, and of course surface pressure differences, tight pressure gradient here. Here's a deep storm here, system off of the south of the Gulf of Alaska here, 957 low, 984 low here off of British Columbia, and this very active polar jet stream right through this region here, bringing mild air generally from the middle of the country to the east coast, and just a flood of storm systems entering the west coast at this time. Short-term forecasted charts. Here's our storm system entering the west coast here, getting into the intermountain regions of Idaho and the Dakotas here eventually, and the upper Midwest eventually. Along the east coast, high pressure is off coast right now, and we have some low-level temperature. What we have here is a temperature inversion here, so we have low and mid-level clouds stuck into the atmosphere predominantly throughout the day and into the evening hours, and then early morning fog and freezing fog as temperatures have cooled off significantly. And we have a weak disturbance or a couple of weak troughs moving through the region over the next 24 hours. Most of them bring in a variable amount of cloud cover. This is frontalis here as the front begins to dissipate, and another trough move through the region. A slight chance of a shower on Thursday morning, late tonight, early tomorrow morning, but most regions won't experience anything except just cloud cover. And then the clouds will try to win out, and then more sunshine coming in during later Thursday into early Friday morning before this system winds up here. That was once on the west coast with another deep storm system south of the Aleutian Islands here, getting in with plenty of snow here in the Intermountain regions, rain and gales on the coast. And this system moving into Atlantic Canada and dragging a couple of troughs through the region and eventually a cold front through the region on Friday afternoon. But most of this will be extended forecast progs into the weekend. Here comes some warm air advection. First with this disturbance, another one out here crossing the plains from the west coast. Here's our deep system here south of the uh, Alaska here, getting into British Columbia. Plenty of storminess here on the west coast and in the interior mountain regions. A warming trend on the east coast as high pressure builds offshore, and warming in the height fields continues across the region. Temperatures getting into lower mid 60s across the region, unbelievably so for this time on Saturday and Sunday afternoon as the storm system, very much so with waves of low pressure move along it. And eventually this is going to drag the warm front through the area on Monday, and this storm system will deepen into the Great Lakes region and eventually into southeastern Canada and the Canadian Maritimes here, eventually dragging a cold front through, then a second cold front through. We could have periods of showers around here on Monday and Tuesday. By the time we get to Wednesday, the forecast progs show the next system moving from off the west coast into the upper Midwest and eventually towards the Great Lakes. And again, a warming trend continues for the eastern United States ahead of this system. And the next 6 to 10 days, and temperatures from December 14th through the 18th above normal, east of the Central Plains all the way into the Mid-Atlantic region, below normal again with the storminess going on out in the west. The precipitation outlooks above normal just to our west across the Ohio, Tennessee, and Mississippi River Valley areas, slightly above normal here along the east coast. Temperature profiles the next 8 to 14 days, December 16th through the 22nd. Above normal again, east of the Continental Divide, smaller area below normal out or to the west and southwest here, and just about near normal in precipitation departures across the region. Okay, temperature forecast for today, basically 52 degrees, normal highs around 46, 47. So we're still running above normal, and we're going to do so again during the day on Thursday with temperatures running anywhere from 57 close to 59 in Philadelphia. That's very mild for this time of the year by about 10 degrees or so. Temperatures warm even further on Saturday. Look at this. Temperatures over the interior portions of New Jersey here in the lower 60s, 57 around the New York City metropolitan area. That's still some 10 degrees above normal. We do it again with temperatures approaching 65 in Philadelphia on Saturday afternoon. 59 or 60 degrees right there in the city. Temperatures all over the weekend, unbelievably warm. 61 degrees on Sunday in New York City, forecasted. Philadelphia at 64. That is about 15 degrees above normal for this time of the year. Monday, the warm temperatures continue slightly. Temperatures again around 60 in New York City, mid 60s in the Connecticut River Valley area, 59 to 60 degrees in the city. And by the time we get to Tuesday of next week, again, temperatures begin to cool off, but still above normal. Temperatures ranging in the lower 50s. At 500 millibars this morning, you can see a very active polar jet stream here flooding the Pacific and all the way through the East Coast. These troughs are minor here as they make their way to the East Coast because this is a flooding situation of Pacific air, which brings milder air into the continental United States, and hence the reason why all of the cold air is still locked up in Canada around the polar vortex. And even at 500 millibars, we find the pattern from west to east nearly zonal across the region, with a couple of amplifications of weak troughs as these storm systems move on to the coast and then further into the interior. And it doesn't mean an active pattern isn't going to develop here across the Central Plains on the backside with these storm systems, but as they make their way to the East Coast, well, milder air is in place. Here's your stratospheric temperatures. Here's the polar vortex here, located over the Arctic Circle, where it normally is. These temperature profiles show that all the cold air in the upper levels of the stratosphere are located in this region around the circumpolar vortex here. Back down into the troposphere, this is where all the cold air is locked up here at 500 millibars across the continent and across the Arctic Circle here. And all of the blues and shaded greens here, these means, and not only the wind speeds, but these are the actual temperatures in the troposphere at 500 millibar jet stream level, which means we still have a very west to east active polar branch of the jet stream, but still a very mild zonal flow across most of the nation, excepting the Intermountain West. Large-scale view of the wind vectors and the surface temperatures. Look at this. All the cold air outside of the storm systems in the Intermountain West Look at this off the coast of Alaska, just how warm the surface temperatures are above the water here. This isn't even the surface temperatures of the water. This is the air temperatures above the water here. Very, very warm water here in the Gulf of Alaska, and also all the way down to the west coast here. And all the cold air is locked up still in Canada. Look at the Gulf Stream here in the eastern United States and off the Atlantic waters here. Very, very warm water indeed. Or warm air temperatures, I should say. 500 millibar pattern from the GFS. All this is very warm air across most of the nation here. All the cold air locked up in Canada. These are the definite heights at 500 millibars. We notice that we'll have some cold intrusions here into southeastern Canada, not making it so much into the eastern United States, but there is some hints of that happening just prior to, and of course around the holiday time, around Christmas, with some polar air moving into the region just in time for Christmas as this trough axis here swings to the east coast with a storm system here entering the fray into southeastern Canada, bringing the first polar air mass into the region. That would be around Tuesday the 22nd. That could be accompanied from some lake effect snows and maybe even a trough axis with a little snow, like snow around the region. May not last all that long. We're not going to really lock into a pattern just yet, but there is an indication here that we could have some first chilly air back into the region just prior to Christmas time, and we could even have a little white snow flakes on the ground. Of course, this is more than 10 days out, and this is the GFS. So here comes our deep storm system around the 21st or so, Monday afternoon, the 21st, and this could change too. But it looks like it heads into Atlantic Canada and brings the cold pool to the east coast with lake effect snow showers coming down. So could have some white flakes around here. This doesn't look like a white Christmas to me just yet, but it does introduce the threat that we'll see some white flakes around the region and the possibility of cold air intrusion for the first time this season into the Northeast, but it won't last long. So for everything live, it's GardenStateWeather.com, GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. I'm forecaster Robert Smith. You have a great Wednesday.